We'll start at the top of our mat. Oh, let me see what you said. 1 second. I know, exactly. So we'll figure out how to do this. I will do research today on how to do the lake. I will figure it out. And we'll just figure out how to do it in the safest way possible, but at least to have some sunrise out there and see it all come up and feel like we're all participating. So let's go ahead and start at the top of your mat. Take your feet about hips distance apart and spread your legs for just a moment. Kind of just widen out to the sides and then pull the legs into the midline if you're squeezing a block. And then check your hips, tailbone, stick it out a little bit, and then drop it, stick it out a little bit and drop it. Notice how the inner thighs pull in and out. So you're just trying to figure out how to get that back nice and long, but in a curve that's appropriate for you. Then take the arms up on the inhale. Lift up nice and tall and stretch over to your right hand side. And then come on up on the inhale and go over to the other side. And come up on the inhale. And then let's do one more of these. So I'll show from the different angle here. You're going to cross your left leg behind your right leg and then keep stretching to your right. And then come on up and cross your right leg behind your left leg and stretch over to your left. And then come on up and take the arms down the sides. Whoa, do a couple big shoulder rolls, both directions. Okay, so let's go for our first sun salutation. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold, bend the knees. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Do a couple more of these. Inhale, lengthen, reach your tailbone back and your heart forward. Exhale, relax. So bend the knees if you're feeling a lot of tightness in the backs of the legs. 2 more of these. Inhale, lengthening. Squeeze your legs into the midline. Exhale, fold. 1 more time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. And plant the hands, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, and you can drop your knees, lower down halfway. Tops of the feet. Inhale, look up. And exhale, downward dog. I'm going to walk it out a little bit. Gently shake out your head and nod your head. Lift your armpits up and roll your shoulders onto your back. Squeeze your forearms toward each other. So imagine you have a block between your forearms and squeeze in. You'll notice your shoulders opening up a little bit as you do that. All right, now let's drop to your knees for just a second while I sneeze. Take a moment. Keep breathing. Now let's do a little side stretch. So come on your hands and knees, take your left arm behind your right and bring the left shoulder and the left side of your head to the ground and gently press into your right hand. Just give a little twist. Try to push your toes into the ground. All right, come on up and press down to your left hand. Take your right arm behind. Bring the right shoulder and the right ear or the right temple to the ground. And look over your left shoulder. Try to press your toenails into the ground. Big breaths. All right, and then come on up and flip your toes over. Find your downward dog. Walk it out 1 more time. Now take your right foot and grab the back of your left ankle and press your left heel toward the ground. Stretch out the calf a little bit more, Achilles tendon. And switch sides. All right, let that go. Look up. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it up. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, full-blown sun A. Arms up, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down. Tops the feet, inhale. And exhale, downward dog. Walk it out a little bit. Relax your neck. And look up. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, arms to sides. And again, arms up, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step or jump back. Lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Again, make sure your neck is not holding a lot of tension. Lift your armpits up and roll your shoulders onto your back. Stretch the top of your head toward your fingers. And look up. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, sun salutation B. Big toes together, heels slightly apart. And we're going to come into our Utkatasana. So interlace the fingers, press the palms of the hands forward, and sink down. And you can test this out a little bit. Usually a really challenging place for the thighs is if you can touch the ground with your fingertips. So see if that is a place you can go a little bit deeper. Reach through the chest and reach through the tailbone. Zip up your low belly. All right, bring the hands down to the ground and fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back and lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right leg lunges. See if you can get a bigger lunge than usual. Step further forward a little bit and then take it up. Pressing the outer edge of your back foot. Lift your front hip points. Drop your shoulders. And big exhale. Take the hands down the ground. Step back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Big step if you can do it. Take it up. Lift your front hip points. Press the outer edge of your back foot. Drop your shoulders. And a big exhale. Left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Walk it out a little bit. Now let's try one more lunge to each side. We're gonna go a little faster here. Lunge your right leg forward. Come on up, big inhale. And big exhale. Right leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Big inhale, take it up. And exhale. Left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Okay, get a little bit of a lift under the arms, so lift your arm muscles up against your arm bones and roll those shoulders onto your back. Check in with the neck. Make sure it feels long. And look up. Inhale, step forward, big toes touching. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana, arms all the way up to the sky this time. Pull the shoulders down. See if you can get your arms a little bit more in line with your ears. And then sink down a little bit deeper into the hips. And inhale, come on up. Exhale, take the arms to the sides. Okay, so this time we're going to do something slightly different with the arms. We'll do Utkatasana again, but you're going to hook your thumbs and pull your elbows out. So, and draw your shoulders down. So big toes together. Hook those thumbs. And then sink down into Utkatasana. Pull the thumbs apart, so they're still hooking. You're pulling those elbows apart. You should feel something different happening in the shoulders here. And then roll your eyeballs upward. One more big breath. And on your next exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down. Taps the feet, inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Left heel plants, right foot lunges. Warrior one on the inhale. And then open up for warrior two. Pull a little bit of your weight into your back leg. And look straight down your middle right finger. And take the hands down the ground. Right leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Take it up on the inhale, and then open up for warrior two. So again, once you're in your warrior two, pull a little bit of your weight into your back leg. Drop your shoulders, lift your triceps. And pivot your hands down again. Step your left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Let's do it again. Right leg lunges. Warrior one, inhale. Warrior two, exhale. Turn the palm of the right hand toward the sky. Come into exalted warrior. Just make sure that right knee stays bent. And bring it back down. Right leg back, press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Take it up on the inhale. Open up for warrior two. And then exalted warrior. Again, make sure your left knee is bent over the ankle. And bring your hands back down the ground. Let's do a plank, side plank on each side. So you're in the full plank here. Let's go for side plank. So you can go to your left hand or left forearm and bring your outer edge of your left foot to the ground. So I'll show a couple of different variations. You can put your right foot on the ground for a little extra stability. If you're feeling pretty weak, you can put your shin on the ground. It becomes a little bit more of a stretch. It's still a side plank. So take about 2 more big breaths wherever you are. And bring that right hand to the ground. Go for the other side. Again, forearm or hand on the ground. And back to the ground, come into a down dog. Walk it out a little bit. Look up, inhale, step forward, big toes touching. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana, take the arms up. Do one more twist to get into that core. Twist to your right. Hook that left elbow to the outside of your right leg. So if you can get down deep enough, you can bring your left hand to a block of the ground and look over that right shoulder. And inhale, come up, and let's go for the other side. Exhale, sink to the left, right arm to the outside of the left leg. And inhale, take it up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step back. Find a down dog. And then let's do one more twist. So you're gonna bring your right hand to the ground, claw the ground. Take your left hand and grab any part of your right leg, thigh, calf, ankle, and gently pull. And release that hand. Grab any part of your left leg with your right hand. And release. Okay, so take your right leg up toward the sky. Take a moment and square the hips. Roll the inner right thigh toward the sky. Press your left heel down. Lift your left hip crease up. You may need to put a little bend in your left knee. Bring that right knee up into your chest and step your right leg forward. And we're going to come into a high lunge. So lift your front hip points up. Drop your arm bones down. We're going to go into warrior three. So that can be a slow stretch forward, or you can do your a little bit of hopping with that back foot. So just depends on your balance. So you can just kind of come straight into it, or if you need a little bit more work, you can take your left foot forward, forward, forward until you get into your right leg, and then go for it. The hardest variation is arms out in front. So that's one, but if you need a little extra help with balance, arms out to the sides is fantastic. So is arms back behind you. And keep breathing. All right, come back down into your high lunge. We're going to do a twist again. So drop your left knee, bring your right hand to your thigh, lift and stretch over to your right. And now take that left arm to the outside of your right leg. Lift your belly, pull it around a little bit, bring your hands together. All right, so first thing, lengthen your spine. Tailbone back, heart forward. And it's almost a little bit of a back bend. You're actually leaning your upper chest and head backwards slightly, as if you're pushing your head back into your hand. And then if you want to, you can lift that back knee up. And remember, it's a twist, so we always tend to forget to breathe deeply in a twist. Make sure your breaths are big. Breathe into your back. Find some space back here. All right, hands down, step back to down dog. Walk it out. All right, left leg toward the sky. 5 breaths here. And bring that left knee up into your chest. Step it forward. Come into a high lunge. All right, high lunge, moving into warrior three. Take it up. 5 deep breaths. Actually, 10 deep breaths. All right, bring it back down and then drop that back knee. Let's go for a twist, lift, and stretch over to your left-hand side. And take that right arm to the outside of the left leg. Lift your belly, pull it around. And then again, press your head back into an imaginary hand. You want to open up the chest, lengthen your spine. If it feels appropriate, lift your back knee. All right, and then take the hands down, step back, walk it out a little bit. Lift your right leg toward the sky, look up and lunge your right leg forward. All right, bring your arms to the inside of your right leg. And then we're gonna come down a little bit deeper, so maybe forearms to a block. All right, and then shift your weight back. You may want to bring your blocks with you. Shift your weight backwards so your hips are over your left knee. Flex your right toes back and drag it back a little bit. And this is where I like to kind of turn my toes out and turn my toes in, get into all the hamstrings as I drag my heel back. So I'm actively pulling my right leg back into my hip socket. Okay, so let's move a little bit closer to splits. I'm not expecting splits to actually happen. I just want to get some quads and hamstrings in here. So slowly scoot that left leg back a little bit. Slowly slide the right leg forward a little bit, but resist the slide. And then once you feel like you've got a stretch happening in both legs, quadriceps of the back leg, hamstrings of the front leg, you're in good shape. So we're not trying to go for a pretty shape. We just want to try to get both of these sets of leg muscles involved. And that has a lot to do with the core, the psoas, hip flexors, everything. So keep breathing. Take about 3 more big breaths. And you can even rock from side to side a little bit. Just see how that changes the stretch. All right, and then slowly come out of that one. Let's do a child's pose first. Just give your hips a second to come back to an even place. All right, let's go for the other side. So you're gonna lunge your left leg forward now. Find a downward dog first. And then lunge that left leg forward. And then bring your arms down to a block or to the ground. You can also stay on your hands. Just take a moment here and warm it up a little bit through the groin, quadriceps, hamstrings, outer hip. Drag to the midline so that right knee is gently pulling forward. Chin is up. All right, shift your weight back. So hips are over the right knee. Use your blocks if you want to be up a little bit higher. And then flex your left toes. And then bow over that left leg. But more important is that you're dragging your left heel back. And you can turn your toes in a little bit as you drag back. Turn your toes out a little bit as you drag back. All right, now I gotta slide into it a little bit more. So again, take your time, just make sure you've got some even stretch happening in front leg and back leg. This may not look at all like the other legs. So each side is different, right? You're gonna be a little tighter on one side than the other, so don't try to make it match. then maybe rock from side to side a little bit. All right, come on out of this one. Do another child's pose just to make sure everything's nice and evened out. All right, let's do our forearm balance now. So it's not a weird place to put a forearm balance. It's just not something I often do. I tend to wait toward the end of the practice. We're going to do it now and get into the shoulders. So you're going to take your block. Make sure that you are hooking a thumb around one side of the block and the rest of your hand around the other side of the block. And then you can always switch it up. So if that feels pinchy in your shoulders, you can flip your hands over and karate chop the block. But either way, we just want to make the shoulders open up. You're going to look at the ground and come into something that kind of looks like down dog. So it's down dog with your forearms on the ground. We call this dolphin. Big breathing. Press your chest toward your toes. And this is an incredible core posture, using a lot of back in this posture, and then you're actually using quite a bit of belly too. And the way you're going to make yourself realize you're using a lot of belly is to bring a foot up and pull that knee into your chest and keep pressing. Basically, you're trying to bring your chest and your knee together and lift your hips up in the air. You can play with extension as well. That's going to bring more hamstring into it. Make sure your breaths are big. All right, go ahead and switch legs. All right, take a little breather, big breathing. All right, we're going to use the wall for the next one. So you're going to do the same posture, but you're going to start walking up the wall a little bit. And if you don't feel comfortable walking up the wall, do what we just did. So doing it a second time, a second round is great. So if you want to go up the wall, you get it pretty close to the wall here. So I've got the block. Again, I can flip my hands over. It's another really great variation. So I'll demonstrate that one. So thumbs are out. And what will happen is you're going to try to pull your thumbs down. They're not actually going to come down, but you're going to try your best to keep the shoulders open. So from here, look at the ground in front of the block, and then come into your dolphin. Keep trying to pull the thumbs down if your backs of your hands are on the ground. And I love this variation because you really feel your lats down the sides of your rib cage. So from here, hang out. Pull a knee into your chest, or you can put your foot roughly about hip level here, so don't go high. And then you just push into the wall, and my other leg is just sort of rising because it's connected, right? And it'll go to the wall eventually as well. Keep breathing. Maybe take a leg up, but don't feel like you have to. All right, when you're ready to come down, take one foot, drop it, come down to child's pose, take a moment in child's pose. All right, so this next posture is called the gate pose, and we're gonna go ahead and come to our shins. So if you need a blanket, if your knees are a little bit tender, you can go ahead and put a blanket under your leg. So I'm gonna take my right leg out, flex my toes back, kneecaps pointing straight up. Take my right hand to my right thigh and take my left arm up. So big inhale, and this is essentially triangle, right? In terms of some of the muscles that are getting stretched out. You can see that if my left leg were straight, it's the same posture, right? So keep breathing, getting this big stretch through the left side. See if you can start lifting through the right side, right? So try to get some space with that right rib cage, lifting away from your right hip, and you might be able to slide down that right leg a little bit. Eventually, you grab your right foot with both hands. We're not too worried about that in the morning, since we tend to be a little tighter in the morning. But if you are flexible or doing this in the afternoon, you can kind of try that. Stretch, 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 see if you can grab that foot, whatever. Keep pushing into your left shin and your left toes. All right, and then come on up and let's go for the other side. So that's a really good one for the hips, the side, also a little bit of groin, hamstring. It really gets into everything. So next one, left kneecap up, left toes up, right arm stretch. Try to keep lifting through the left side. So I'm lifting, lifting, lifting my left armpit. Keep breathing. See if I can roll my belly toward the sky just a tiny bit. Press into the right toes, so not all the weight is in your knee. Big breaths. And come on up. Okay, so we're going to do a standing pose here. Bring your hands to the ground. Get your toes to the ground. So we're going for Prasarita Padottanasana. Toes are pointing forward. Outer edges of the feet are parallel to the short edges of the mat. If you need to be up a little bit higher, get a block underneath your hands. And then forward bend here. So squeeze into the midline with your thighs. Transfer a little bit of the weight from the back of the heels to the front of the heels. And also keep squeezing in with your inner thighs. And the more you squeeze in, the more you're going to feel like you have even weight on the outer heels and inner heels. And then with these hands, you can either push into the block or push into the mat. Keep your chest and chin lengthening forward so that you're really just hinging at the hips. All right, let's find a squat. So toe heel in a little bit, find a squat that works for you. Everybody's squat is different. Some people are pretty high. Some people have to get onto a block for their squat. If you can squat yogi squat style, a little bit deeper, that's great too. Whatever works. So your knees are roughly lined up with your middle toes. That's really the only rule. And you can go wide here, and you can even go more narrow. Toes can point out or toes can point forward. So just figure out what works for you. And there really are a lot of variations because everybody's hips are just put together differently. And you got to make sure that your knees are happy with you and your hips are happy with you. So find something that works, whether you're a little higher up with the hips or not. Find your mula bandha, which is your pelvic floor muscle. So you need to tighten up your buttocks a little bit. And that's kind of a cheater's way of finding the pelvic floor. And then breathe deeply. And if you have to come out of this, come out of this. This is, I make this look really easy. But a lot of people, this is an incredibly uncomfortable posture. 2/3 of the world sits like this. So it shouldn't be uncomfortable, but because of, the way we maintain our bodies over our lives, little quirks here and there, a lot of us just really don't feel comfortable doing it. So if that's the case for you, you can always do like a nice little forward bend, take a little break, readjust. So don't feel like you're stuck here. Sometimes you just got to move in and out of it. Keep breathing. So I'm going to do a little twist here. And if you want to follow along and do a twist, feel free. If you feel like you have to come out of the posture, that's okay too. So I'm going to take my right arm to the ground and take my left arm toward the sky. And I'm pushing the back of my right arm into my right leg and squeezing my right leg into the back of my right arm. So I'm pushing the two into each other, looking up. It's a little bit more of a groin stretch. All right, let's try for the other side. Left hand to the ground, I'm pushing my left arm back into my left leg and squeezing my left leg into my left arm. And then look over my shoulder, so it's a twist, but also a groin stretch. All right, let's do a nice little forward bend again. Hang for a moment, grab your forearms, press down. And we're going to come back down again. So we're doing hero pose. And I would come to the top of your mat here. So hero pose also is one of those postures that just, it has limitations depending on your body and your habits. So if you can, sit down between your heels, but if you can't sit down between your heels comfortably, if let's say your knees are a little grumpy about this, you can sit on a block or two. I don't have my blanket with me, but you can also put a blanket, like a folded up blanket, on your calves, between your thighs and your calves, and that'll help with the knees. It gives a little space in the knees. So keep that in mind as well, putting a blanket there. And then you're going to squeeze in with your ankles. So if you're on a block, squeeze the block with your ankles. Try to get your inner ankles to touch the block. If you're on the ground, you're still pulling your ankles in. The reason why is your ankles tend to curl here. They tend to curve in and your toes start pointing in toward the midline. And you actually want your ankles to stay straight, and you're trying to get your toes to spread out here. So do your best. The straighter your ankles are and the more your toes can spread out to the sides, the more you have even stretch happening on both sides of the knees, and that's what you're going for. And then if you're feeling comfortable here, if you're on a block, you might be able to come back a little further. If you are not on a block and you're actually on the ground, this should feel pretty easy to do, but it starts getting progressively harder. So you can only come all the way down to your back if it seems appropriate for you, your knees, your quads, etc. So you lift your hips up just to readjust that low back a little bit. Maybe come down to your forearms. If you're on a block, forearms usually isn't much of an option. Breathe. I'm squeezing my legs into the midline. For a lot of people, this is all about the feet, which is a good thing. If you are feeling this all in the feet, that is something that needs to be stretched out. But again, always give yourself permission to take breaks. And then maybe come to your back if that seems appropriate. But again, this is a pretty advanced posture for most people. Most people's knees are pretty grumpy about this. So if you're coming all the way down your back, make sure your knees are happy with you, your quads are okay. The feet might be really feeling it depending on how tight your arches are. But again, we want to get those arches to loosen up. So if you're feeling this mostly in the feet, wherever you are, maybe you're a little bit more upright, giving yourself a little massage in the feet is a great idea. And I massage from the inner arch out to the outer arch. So I just kind of rub across the width of the foot and the ball of the foot, from the big toe ball joint to the pinky toes. You can even get your knuckles in there. So if you're up a little higher, maybe you're just sitting up, you can still go for just kind of pressing into the feet and massaging out. Super helpful. Okay, so we go to down dog after this, and part of this is because of the feet. Most of us feel a lot happening in the feet, and it's just a nice way to stretch the feet the other direction. So from here, bring your hands forward, flip your toes over, walk it out, and find that down dog. All right, so we're gonna do pigeon on your front or pigeon on your back, either one. So lunge that right leg forward if you're doing pigeon on your front. Walk that right foot over to your left hip. If you're a little bit more flexible, walk it to your left hand. And then maybe bring your forehead to your block. And if you're on your back, you're gonna cross that right ankle just below the left knee on the thigh. Reach through the gap in your legs, grab the back of your thigh or the front of your shin. And rocking from side to side is great. Big breathing. We got about 5 breaths to go. let's switch sides. So again, if you're on your front side, do a down dog. If you're on your back side, do a little happy baby dead bug here. Take a moment, walk it out, rock it out. And then from here, left leg is going to cross over. So left ankle crosses just below the right knee on the thigh, or if you're on your front side, left leg will come forward into the pigeon preparation, and then you'll bring that left foot either parallel, which is pretty advanced, or you're going to bring that left foot closer to your right hip. So breathe deeply. Make sure those ankles are straight. If you're on your back, rock from side to side. If you're on your front, tighten up your right thigh a little bit so your knee doesn't dig into the ground. And this is a super important posture. It doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is that you get that external rotation in the leg. Since we're very forward people and we walk forward and we don't even really walk backward much. It's really, we're very sort of straight and we don't tend to do as much side to side as our bodies are made to do. That external rotation of the hip is really important because your leg is actually a hip socket, right? A ball and socket joint. So you want to make sure that you're able to turn your leg out in different directions within that hip socket. So take about 5 more breaths. All right, and then down dog or happy baby. All right, let's get into some of our core. So you're going to come to your forearms. If you need a little help with your core, it's not a bad idea to bring a block underneath your thighs or your low belly. I really think it's a great idea to keep you from sinking down and just reminding you where your body is. So right now my pelvis is on the block. I'm going to lift my pelvis off the block about 1/2 inch once I get into this position. Shoulders also tend to seize up here and try to do most of the work. And what you want to do is really relax your shoulders out to the sides. So remember that as well. And then let's go for it. Let's try to take a minute here, or 20 breaths. So press your heels back, get those legs strong and straight. Reach your heart forward, widen the shoulders out to the sides. Five more breaths. All right, drop those knees. Take a child's pose if you would like. All right, we're gonna do a fun variation here. I like this one a lot. You're gonna put your heels on one block, your back on the other block. So it's a plank, you're just facing the ceiling instead of facing the ground. But it works a lot of the same muscles and some slightly different ones. So again, you're gonna extend as if you're trying to do a full body stretch here. So my upper back is on a block, my heels are on a block, my kneecaps are pointing straight up. Take the hands to the back of the head, and you're gonna scoop up under your head so that you're not using a bunch of neck muscle, and then lift up in 20 breaths here. And get super long, stretch, stretch, stretch out. So you're using a little bit more butt muscle here to lift the hips. Add more breaths. All right, and then lower down, and then you're gonna roll off your blocks and use your bottom arm as a pillow. Just rest for a moment. All right, see if you can reach behind you and grab that block. And you're gonna roll forward and come on up. Okay, so next one. One more thing to keep us sweaty. So you're gonna take your blocks just slightly behind your shoulders. And then I like to put my fingers down so I'm not using as much wrist, but you can also go fingers out, you can go fists, doesn't really matter. But we're gonna do a little bit more core here. You want your blocks wide enough that you can slide through and swing through with the hips. So once you have that, walk your feet up about halfway and then come up to a tabletop posture. Then you're gonna drop the hips, lift the toes, tuck your butt, and then push through with your heels. And then see if you can lift your legs off the ground. And then just do a few of these. So the goal is 100 someday. We don't really have time for 100, but it's definitely can be a great personal goal. Let's see if we can just do 10. Keep breathing. Try 2 or 3 more. Nice job. Okay, now bottoms of the feet together. Open up your feet. Press the pinky edges of your feet into each other and bring your forehead towards your toes. All right, next one. So we're gonna go for legs out and bring your block in front of you. And then see if you can go for forward bend here. So it may not be a ton of a forward bend, and I'll demonstrate from the side here. So everybody's different. You want to tighten up your thighs, make sure your thigh bones feel like they're pushing into the ground here. Kneecaps up, toes up, and then you get a block here. And whatever you do, just want to make sure that your chest is lifted and your chin is lifted. So you try to go for no rounding in the back here. Keep reaching through the front of your rib cage. As you reach, your legs are going to want to stop working. So keep the thighs engaged, quadriceps pushing the thigh bones down. Keep pulling the toes back, breathing deeply. Keep tightening up the thighs. All right, now see if you can grab your big toes. So bend your knees, grab your big toes. Scoot back a little bit so you're getting back toward your tailbone, and then extend your legs. And they may not be totally straight, but you're just trying to balance here. Now see if you can bring your legs together. Just going to be a little bit more challenging. All right, bend your knees a little bit more. Now this is another challenging one, so if you can't get there yet, it's okay. See if you can grab the bottoms of your feet. You may have to bend your knees a little bit for this. And then point your toes. Someday, and this is for the super flexible people, someday your chest comes to your thighs, like you shorten up that space between your legs and your thighs. If you're not there, it's okay, because I realize this is a huge hamstring stretch for a lot of people. And part of this is getting those arm bones into your shoulder sockets and getting your spine longer so you're not collapsing through the back. But do whatever you can do. And again, bent knees is fine. All right, bring the bottoms of the feet together again. This time, go for a flat back for your forward bend rather than rounding. So lift your heart, maybe wiggle around a little bit, and then see if you can keep that chest up and chin up. Feet are pushing into each other, knees are stretching out to the sides. And again, for a lot of people, this is a really good forward bend. Some people are a little bit more flexible, and you just keep reaching through the heart and wiggling a little bit from side to side, zipping up that belly. And these are all super important. Even if you're here, this is really important. If you're here and you're actually sinking back like this, then I would highly recommend actually sitting up against a wall so that you can get that lengthening in the back. That way you get a little bit more core strengthening. Because this is about the core right here. Hips, but definitely core. 3 more breaths. All right, let's do another one. So this is like the most difficult back bend there is. It is my nemesis. I really don't enjoy this variation as much, and the reason why is because you have to work so hard to keep it all together. So I'm going to put a block between my thighs. So I'm going for like medium level here, medium width between my thighs. Then between my ankles, I'm going to go for wide and squeeze everything into the midline. And then your goal is to feel burning in your thighs. So your back bend is in your upper back up here. Your low back bends really easily. So what we're trying to do is actually contain the core, zip up the belly, and not bend so much in the low back, because that's the last place you should be bending. It's so easy to bend there, and it's so easy to compress there. So you want to make everything else that's a little bit tighter bend first. So squeezing into the midline, take your hands to your buttocks, the tops of your buttocks, lift your heart, and imagine somebody's pushing down on your chest, and you're resisting and pushing your chest up toward the ceiling. You can also imagine somebody's got like little fingers right between your shoulder blades lifting you up right there. So you're lifting in the back, lifting your chest, squeezing the blocks. Most of the bend is happening in the low back. I'm zipping up my low belly in order not to bend as much in the low back and to control that low back a little bit more, because your low belly muscles are the muscles that support your low back, believe it or not. Keep breathing. And then if you are on the flexible side and you've got a lot of upper back bending happening, you can kind of reach back and just see, oh, can I touch my toe? Left arm up helps because that keeps that chest lifting as you reach back, and you don't start collapsing into that low back. So it's a little bit of a twist. You can try the other side. Squeeze in, maybe bring your left fingers to your left heel. Take that right arm up so you're still lifting your chest. All right, go ahead and sit back for a moment and breathe. We're going to do this one more time. Really keep working on those inner thighs. This is really about the legs. So the next one we're going to do is going to be really just focused on quadriceps. And we've been doing some warming up the quadriceps, so this should feel like a nice burn right here in the middle of the thigh. So this time, try not to back bend at all. And you're just going to lean back with a super straight back. And your quadriceps are going to have to do all the work supporting you. So you're squeezing, squeezing, squeezing in to the blocks. Take your hands to your thigh or your upper buttocks. Lift your heart, and then lean back. What I'm trying to do is make my legs do this work here. So zipping up the belly, pushing my buttocks down. My heart is lifting a little bit, so there's a little bit of back bend there. What I'm trying to do is lean back so that my upper quads are starting to do more of the stabilizing. And then go ahead and relax. right, let's come on to our bellies. So, find a child's pose first. Just in case you compress the low back, we want to make sure it's nice and happy. So take a moment and decompress in child's pose. I'm pushing forward into the mat to get the hips closer to the heels, and that'll get that low back a little more stretched out. Zip up the belly. All right, so come onto your belly. And we're going to go for the quadriceps should be pretty loosened up. We're going to just check in with them. So bring your left forearm to the ground, grab your right foot, press your right heel in the direction of your right hip. It doesn't have to touch. You're just trying to figure out if you can get a quadricep stretch. Your right knee is going to stretch either toward the wall or toward the ground, and you're going to try to zip your low belly up off the floor. And that'll isolate the stretch into the middle of the quads. So I'm getting a little bit of a shoulder opener also, rolling the right shoulder onto the back. If your left shoulder starts to get fatigued, you can always come down to your belly and extend that left arm out. So keep that in mind. All right, let's try for the other side. So right forearm to the ground, reach back. You can also use a strap. And then reach through the left knee, reach the left knee to the floor or to the wall behind you. Zip up the belly, try to get your weight into your pubic bone and get the belly off the floor. Get that left shoulder onto your back. All right, and then go ahead and come on down for just a moment. Extend your spine. So really simple, you're just lying down, but it gives your spine a moment to just decompress again. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is really about the low belly, and you're going to bend your knees. So my feet are pointing up toward the sky. Now I'm going to flex my toes toward the ground. What I'm trying to do is pretend there's like an anvil, like something super heavy on your feet, and your feet are pushing it up. So you're going to push your feet up, and your knees are going to lift about a ½ inch off the ground. So I'm lifting, lifting, lifting with my heels as if I'm pushing something heavy up toward the ceiling. That's going to start engaging my low belly and my core. So a little bit of the back as well. So now roll your pubic bone toward the ground and keep lifting your feet up toward the ceiling. So it's really subtle. Heels are lifting, pubic bone rolls toward the ground. You feel like your pubic bone is pressing into the ground and your thighs are super extended, and you should feel a little bit of engagement in your buttocks. All right, now we're going to add in some cobra arms and upper back. So you're going to take your hands out to the sides. My hands are off my mat. And then you're going to roll the shoulders onto your back and then push up a little bit, but I'm still trying to lift my knees and lift my heels and reach through my knees. Nice. And zip up the low belly and roll the shoulders onto your back. And try to get your pubic bone to the ground. If that doesn't feel good, in terms of pubic bone pressing to the ground, you can have a blanket underneath you. You should be starting to feel your butt a little bit. It's not clenched, but you can definitely feel like it's doing some work here. All right, go ahead and come on down for a moment. Relax, turn your head the other direction. All right, let's do it one more time. So bend the knees, roll your pubic bone toward the ground, lift the feet so that your knees are starting to lift off the ground, not a lot. Keep reaching the knees toward the wall behind you even as you're lifting up with the feet. Walk your hands back in line with your chest. So my hands are now on my mat. Roll the shoulders onto your back and then go ahead and push up a little bit so elbows can still be bent. Lift the knees, roll your pubic bone toward the ground, zip up that low belly. Roll the shoulders onto your back, lift your chest. Just you can see how someday we're going to go for foot, head to foot, right? But not right now. We're not working on that. We're working on making sure that we have integrity in our back bend. All right, go ahead and release. Turn your head one more time. Make a little pillow for your cheek. Okay, remember all of that. So you used your butt a little bit, but you weren't clenching. There's a lot of stretching in your quadriceps. And you're going to try to use more arms now. So it's the basic bow, Dhanurasana, but just remember you're actually actively getting into your Dhanurasana. So roll your pubic bone toward the ground. Grab your feet or your ankles. If you need to use a strap, you can use a strap instead. Roll your pubic bone toward the ground, roll your shoulders onto your back, zip up your belly, pull your front ribs in, and then stretch your knees toward the wall, and then push your feet away from you. And release. Make a little pillow, turn your head to the side. All right, let's do another one. So we're going to do this one with a block or a blanket. And you put the block on the ground or the blanket on the ground in front of you. Pelvis will be on the ground. Pubic bone just barely touching the ground. So low belly is on the block or on the blanket. And then you're going to extend your legs for right now. So we'll go for a full-blown back bend in a second, but let's go for cobra right now. So extend your legs. My legs are really stretching hard. They're stretching very, very long. Pull my belly off of the block and roll my pubic bone toward the ground, and then you just walk in a little bit. And walk in as much as you want to, but you want to make sure you don't feel compressed in the back. So keep zipping up the belly and rolling your pubic bone toward the ground and extending your legs. Get your legs longer and longer and longer. Keep breathing. All right. Now bend your knees. And use your strap or your hands. Roll your pubic bone toward the ground, zip up your belly. Keep pulling that belly off the block or off the blanket. And go ahead and find a child's pose. Let's roll onto our backs. So from here, you're going to hug your right knee into your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Try to get your right thigh to press into your right rib cage. All right, let's do a little twist first to decompress the spine. So you're going to look over your right shoulder and roll onto your outer left hip. Stack your right hip over your left hip. Stick your tailbone out a little bit. There's a little bit of a curve in your low back. All right, let's go for the other side. So hug your left knee firmly. Press that left thigh firmly into your left rib cage. Take some nice deep breaths. All right, left arm out to the side. Start rolling onto that outer right hip. Stick your tailbone out, look over your left shoulder. All right, unwind. Now take that right leg up, and you're going to either grab your foot with your strap or grab your foot with your hands. That left leg is super active. You're going to press your left heel toward the ground, and you're going to press your left thigh toward the ground. And then once you have a grip of the right foot, either with the strap or the hands, you're going to lift your head and shoulders up and bow towards your right leg. So actively push your left thigh, left heel toward the ground. And this is after all that back bending. We want to get this hamstring area to loosen up again because it gets really tight when you back bend since you're bending your legs. All right, take that foot or strap into your right hand. Bring your left hand to your hip. Start lowering your right leg down, but don't let your left hip pop up. All right, and bring that right leg back up. Switch hands so that you've got the strap in your left hand or your foot in your left hand. You're going to go for that twist again. This time, leg is a little straighter. You're getting into this outer hip area. Try to stick your tailbone out. Look over your right shoulder. All right, let that go. Let's go for the other side. Left leg up. Right leg extends. Press the back of the right thigh toward the ground. Press the right heel into the ground. And then lift your head and shoulders up and bow towards your left leg. All right, head and shoulders down. Strap or foot comes into your left hand. Bring your right hand to your hip and thigh. Keep that right hip down. Start lowering your left leg. So left leg may not go that far. If that right hip wants to pop up, you know you've got some tightness in that groin and inner thigh, and that's okay. But don't let the hip pop up just because of that. All right, bring that leg up. Switch hands on strap or foot. Take that left leg over so you can get into that IT band and outer hamstring. A little bit of the outer hip as well. Look over the left shoulder. All right, roll back onto your back and walk your feet out to the sides of your mat. Then drop your knees over to the right side, like windshield wipers, and then you're going to take your right ankle and cross it just on top of the left thigh near the knee. And that might be exactly what you need. If you want to add a little extra pressure, you can drag your foot down against your left leg a little bit more so you can get a little bit more stretch through the front outer hip where your sartorial is. So if that feels good, add a little pressure. Otherwise, just hang out. You can also just let the knees drop. You don't have to put that foot on top of the outer left thigh. So check in with yourself and see what works best for you. So this is an internal rotation of this left leg, and that can be pretty difficult for a lot of us. All right, remove that right foot, knees point back up, make sure your feet on the edges of your mat. Drop your knees over to the left side now, and then take that left ankle and place it on the outer right thigh, and maybe apply some pressure if you'd like. All right, and then let that one go. All right, so your choice on how you want to finish up. I am going to put a block under my hips and put it super close to my tailbone. And then this is a little bit of an inversion here, so this is a great way to, if you've got an SI joint. So I have an SI joint that moves around a lot, which a lot of people have very mobile SI joints or jammed SI joints. Either way, it can cause hip pain, low back pain. It can cause a lot of pain anywhere, really. It can travel all the way up to the shoulder sometimes. So this is a great way to just even out the hips, the pelvis. If you want to go a little more into it, you can take your legs up. Get a little bit more inversion here. Roll your eyes in toward the midline, where your eyes and nose meet. And then once you do that, see if you can slightly project your vision past your forehead with your eyes closed. Slow down your breath. All right, if you would like to stay here, please do. Take your time. If you want to get up, and it's time for you to move, remove your blocks, take your arms over your head, Let's go for a full body stretch. Take your arms and legs and stretch them out. Big inhale. And a big exhale, relax. We'll do it one more time. Hold the stretch and the breath for 5 counts. Take a big inhale, stretch it out. Hold it on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Big exhale, relax. And then walk those feet in. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze and roll in little circles around your lower back and sacrum. And then roll the other direction. And you can roll up and down or roll over onto one side. Again, if you want to stay put in Shavasana, please do. And either physically or mentally, bring your hands into your heart center. And take a moment, check in, remember what you're grateful for. And bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.